Hello everyone, this is Crota giving you a shoutcast and a game between WhiteRa versus Idra here on Tal'Darim Altar. Excuse me as I cough a little. We have WhiteRa spawning as the red Protoss over here on the bottom right hand side of the map. Meanwhile, we have Idra over here on the top right hand side of the map as the blue Zerg. I'm not exactly sure where these games came from. I do not believe they came from MLG or Orlando. Unfortunately, the replay sites where I do sometimes get some of my replays, they don't have all of the information in regards to what tournament it is, what round it is, or all of that important information. First thing we're going to see is WhiteRa now setting up a forge or a pylon to go for a forge fast expansion here on Shattered Temple. That should be relatively successful, as I don't believe Idra is really going to be able to punish this at all. There is no 6 or 7 pool strategy. Idra going into a much more macro style of game. He trusts his macro, he trusts the long game, and we'll see whether or not this works out for him. Idra is going to benefit being spawned counter or clockwise of his opponent, or his opponent spawning clockwise to him, excuse me, as that will allow him to set up this third base a little bit more easily. By being able to get in a couple early Zerglings, 4 to 6 Zerglings, and start pecking away at these destructible rocks, he will be able to take them down and set up that third base sometime around the 9-minute mark, if my guesstimate is correct. And we can see now more drones are still being trained, as there is no hatchery coming in just quite yet. It's going to be a little bit of time before you even see a hatchery. But right now, what I'm waiting to see is whether or not Idra will be going for an extractor. A drone is now making its way out, and that drone looks like it is just going to be doing a little bit of scouting. No, it is actually going to try to set up a hatchery. It gets there just a little bit early, and now just going to put a little bit more damage back onto that probe. The probe now warping in a pylon in order to stop this. And Idra pretty much laying down or getting over here rather early is not going to be able to do very much. Not quite sure why Idra even opted to move away with this one drone. Perhaps he wants to make sure that this probe doesn't really see anything. The pylon looks like, yes, it will be completed, as the drone now down to 21 hit points, still dealing a little bit of damage to those shields, as Zerglings now coming out. And it looks like, oh, is it going to be able to catch up to that probe? The probe already regenerating those shields. It looks like it will be able to get back up to a very, very high hit point or shield value, as now the Zerglings and the drone about to take down this pylon here. Over here on the far side of the map, WhiteRa already getting up a gateway. It looks like the photon cannon is about to warp in as well. Another gateway needs to be added in just a moment, otherwise the Zerglings will be able to run by, and there is that second gateway. And a probe now hiding off over here could be able to perhaps take down the probe. And yes, the probe's Zerglings are able to sneak by. And this is going to be a problem. 3 Zerglings inside the base. And now these probes are going to be forced to try to pull back, make sure, or the probes are going to be forced to pull back. The Zerglings now going to be very careful, letting the lower hit point one regenerate just a little bit in the back over here, trying to get some damage onto some of those probes, as WhiteRa is going to lose some valuable mining time by microing these units. You can see that the Zerglings are relatively low on hit points. A pylon now being added, perhaps for some photon cannons, as a probe walks in and almost now pulls away once again. And another low hit point probe. Pylon taking a fair amount of damage. Once again, going to come back in and now pull away once more. And it looks like this one particular pylon may get taken down, as the probes are now trying to come in. A photon cannon needs to be added into this group, as well as the Zerglings now backing off, forcing more resources to be lost, and the shields are now starting to recharge. Front door, there is a gateway up. The 3 Zerglings attempting to perhaps take down this one pylon. It is starting to take a little bit of critical damage there, and now in comes the probes once again to chase away those Zerglings. Zerglings do not have metabolic boost, as the Zerglings going to run straight into a zealot, and that is no good, as all of the probes are just wandering around in circles. Now getting some damage onto an assimilator. That is all superficial damage there, as that pylon's shields will slowly start to recharge. Zerglings, however, going to have a much easier time on a smaller number of probes here. It looks like one probe may actually get taken down. So one probe does finally get taken down. Another Zergling gets taken down there. So 100 resources lost, but 2 workers have been killed so far, as the Zerglings look to deal a little bit more economic harassment, and going after another probe there. A nice surround with 2 Zerglings to capture and kill another probe so far. So the Zerglings still causing a little bit of issues. The Zergling, however, not backing off here. It looks like WhiteRa will be able to finish off the Zerglings, and it looks like the threat is pretty much over. Idra, however, going to ride his economic wave. 7 drones ahead of his opponent, still training up more, and it looks like the Zerglings are going to start to make their way off to the north and start pecking away at these rocks. The rocks will be up for quite some time, as the rocks do have 3 base armor, reducing the amount of damage that those Zerglings normally deal. And now a drone going to go ahead and grow up to be a spine crawler, as Idra trying to figure out what his long-term strategy will be. Now, WhiteRa does have a Cybernetics core. He is going into that Stargate, so I believe that Void Rays will be coming in the future, as the Zerglings are going to perhaps get a little bit of a surround on WhiteRa, and the Zerglings getting that metabolic boost just in time, and WhiteRa in a bit of trouble here, going to lose a Zealot, as the Zerglings may be able to run by the front door. No, a gateway now being added. Stalker in position. 1 Zergling gets taken down, 2 Zerglings get taken down as those units back off. A Zealot over here able to push that back, push all of those units back once more, as a drone now going to set up a 3rd base, perhaps here at the 12 o'clock location. Zerglings looking to destroy the rocks now, as we are going into a Void Ray. We also see a Spire being added, and this is an interesting addition, as a Zealot, gonna get surrounded here and quickly taken down. 2 Zerglings lost, as the Zerglings now peck away at the rocks once more. There is only 1 queen over here. There is a Spire, but the Spire does take a rather long time to build. Only 1 queen over here as well, and there's no creep tumors. So with no creep tumors, the walking distance is going to be rather difficult unless Idra starts spawning and spewing a little bit more. Yes, he is going to connect these 2 bases with Overlords spewing creep, and that is definitely going to help, as another Overlord now starting to fly over, as a Void Ray going to be pushing in as well. 1 queen. It looks like the queen does spot the Void Ray. The queen now getting in position. Gonna do another spawn larva in just a moment. Now training up a 2nd queen as well. And here it comes. 2 queens able to receive with welcome arms and push back that Void Ray. Void Ray down to 28 shields, but those will slowly recharge up anyways. Now, Harvester count 54 compared to 46. The Void Ray not going to be able to do very much at all. A 2nd Void Ray now being already in the air. A 3rd Void Ray now being added as well, as the Void Ray going to shoot down and take down an Overlord with relative ease. And WhiteRa should perhaps be trying to charge off these destructible rocks, take down these rocks over here and be able to hunt down even further. But no, perhaps sees that there is an Overseer, and the Overseer is not going to be able to escape the Void Ray. So now Idra very far behind, and now still supply blocked. 88 over 86 compared to 82 over 92. But we are starting to go into Mutalisk. 7 Mutalisk in the air in order to hunt down some Void Rays. There are some Stalkers, no Photon Cannons over here at all, and Idra really loves his Mutalisk, and in comes the Mutalisk now. 8 Mutalisk in the air, dealing a lot of damage now, going after probe after probe, getting some damage onto those Zealots, and oh wow, 1 very low hit point Zealot. Glad he has 1 armor, able to stick and survive another day. Now, we'll see what Idra's strategy is going to be. Idra does have 10 Mutalisks up. Going to get 2 more. Already has 2 more joining this ball. So 14 Mutalisks, soon to be 16. As the Mutalisks continue their harassment, going after probes. And oh, a Phoenix may overextend itself. And now the Void Rays being able to push in as well. As Zerglings try to test the front door, but no real luck for them. It is going to be 4 bases to 2. But Idra does need a little bit more drone production in order to support these 4 bases. And now the Phoenix is just getting in some easy shooting there, and now the Mutalisk perhaps going to get some damage onto those probes. No, too much of an air game. WhiteRa with 3 Void Rays and some Phoenixes able to shut down and prevent any serious Mutalisk harassment. Currently sitting on 12 Mutalisks here, as we are now going into even more Mutalisks. Gonna slowly add up to maybe even 24 Mutalisks, as we now see 9 drones being added, 68 compared to 42. Idra just buying his time, keeping this entire army back at home, as Photon Cannons are now being added. One Phoenix gets taken down. Photon Cannon gets taken down. Mutalisk trying to go after those Phoenixes, unable to, as we now see what Idra is going to be doing in the long run, training up 5 more, 22 Mutalisks, soon to be 26, and then at that point, Idra can just sit back, relax, and almost suicide with these Mutalisks after he transitions and gets enough resources into an even larger army. I don't see an infestation pit yet. An overseer is now being added. Zerglings in the middle as we are now at 25 Mutalisks, with more Mutalisks still being added. Protoss ground armor now being upgraded as well, as a probe easily gets shut down. And now what's going to be happening here as the Phoenix is going to be able to get in a lot of damage. Phoenixes and Stalkers, Void Rays, both sides battling it out, and the Mutalisk backing off, and a Phoenix runs straight head on into a group there. Both sides taking heavy or a little bit of losses there. 22 Mutalisks, as now the Stalkers are going to try to engage, but there's not really enough Zealots. So the Zealots are bringing up the rear as the Mutalisks now running their way into the main base, getting even more probe kills. WhiteRa is in trouble, and one pylon down. 5 gateways now unpowered. Reinforcements going to be coming in very slowly as the Mutalisk, spine crawlers, and everything happening over here. It looks like the Mutalisks are going to be able to get in a lot of damage, destroy even more Stalkers, take down another pylon, as the Stalkers, Zealots, and Sentries continue to deal even more damage. 5 spine crawlers, or 8 spine crawlers here to defend this. Another Mutalisk going to get taken down. Drones are not going to be able to do very much at all as the Mutalisks are now backing off. Idra with more than double the food count and looking to deal a very devastating blow. 1 queen, 1 spine crawler. Is it going to be enough? And in comes this engagement. The spine crawler is dealing a little bit of damage, but not very much. Queen getting focused down first. Gets off a round of spawn larva before it gets killed. Another spine crawler, and now in comes some Mutalisks. Drones need to perhaps get in a little bit of engagement. More Mutalisks coming in, and wow, look at the skies. 31 Mutalisks completely tearing up. And now WhiteRa really needs to play a lot more defensively, otherwise he'll have to GG, and instead he GG's. So WhiteRa losing this game here on Tal'Darim Altar. Idra making the Zerg look oh so easy with very, very effective Mutalisk harassment, and after that Mutalisk harassment, being able to, defend his base very, very well. 7 spine crawlers here. You do not want to try to break through that even with Zealots and Stalkers, as those spine crawlers are going to be dealing so much damage. Back over here, Idra didn't have very much mining, only a couple harvesters on gas, as he was really going into a gas-intensive strategy, and Idra was able to pull out the victory. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening.